I'm Shirley Jones, and this is Gemma Wenger's Hollywood.
Academy Award nominee for The Godfather, so that's probably what you're best known for.
Boy, I'm pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, and 4-time Golden Globe Award nominee.
Yeah, I never win anything. Just like getting awards and no jobs. I'd rather get a job. They're going to give me a piece of glass.
I know.
can't eat
You eat regular.
Oh,
that way.
nice.
God bless. Thank you.
God bless you. You take care.
How about a kiss goodbye? Adios.
Hello, I'm Martin Landau.
Hi, I'm Florence Henderson, and you're watching Gemma Wenger's Hollywood.
Gemma Wenger, and this is Gemma Wenger's Hollywood, and we're here in Beverly Hills, California at the Movie Guide Awards. And if you don't know what the Movie Guide Awards are, they are one of my favorite award ceremonies because they really pick movies and television shows that have a message, that have some meat to them, that provide inspiration for the rest of us. So let's see who we're going to meet tonight. Look who I found. This handsome young man, Andrew Francis, is an actor. And tell us about yourself.
I grew up in Vancouver, BC. I've been acting since I was a little kid, since I was young. Did a lot of commercials, did a lot of voice work. I do a lot in Vancouver, a lot of cartoons and advertisements and that kind of thing.
What's it like doing voice work?
Voice work, it's really interesting, actually. I find it's really creative. Well, the best part about it is you can just show up looking like however you want to show up, and you know you're behind a microphone. But it's great. You get to really get into your character. You get to be creative because you get to do different voices in whatever episode you're doing. You don't have to really be stuck on one thing. Like you can do sort of an old person, or you can do a young person, or I do a lot of deep voices, which is kind of weird because people don't expect me to do that. So you get to find a lot of range when you go into work.
Let me ask you a question. When you audition for these parts, I mean, you obviously look like you, but they want an old person. So do they ever look at your face, or do they just listen to your voice?
A lot of times they'll look at your face, actually, you know? Like a lot of times I'll actually see if I can put something on tape when I'm at home at my home studio and send it into them just so they don't know the person that's doing it. For instance, you know, the movie trailer voice. I do a lot of, you know, coming this summer. You know, the really deep stuff.
Do that again.
In a world where man meets nature.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah. So I like to do that a lot from home so they don't see the young kid, because they don't like to cast people like me in those type of roles.
How did you develop this voice or this style?
When I was a kid, I was doing a lot of voice work, and I went away for a few days, and I got behind on the series that we were doing, and I had to do 3 full days from 9 to 6 p.m., and I actually developed these things called nodes on my vocal cords. And so I went in to see a voice therapist, and she said you have 2 options. You can go in and have surgery, or you can let the nodes stay and see what happens. And I mean, I was really heavily involved in work at that point, and I couldn't take that much time off. And so I said, you know, I'm going to keep the nodes. And as time went on, I kind of had a raspy or regular voice and this deep down dark voice too.
That's so cool. So it worked out for your benefit.
It did, actually. Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
How about your singing? Do you sing?
Singing? No, actually, that's awful. I just even try and get a high note. It's not going to work.
That's wonderful. And what's one of the favorite things that you've done?
I like doing, I did X-Men, the cartoon, Iceman, and that was a lot of fun for 3 seasons. Getting to be around all the voice actors who are playing, you know, all the main characters that you've seen before is kind of a thrill.
Well, I'd really like to see you in front of the camera, too.
Yeah, totally. No.
I think you got a great look.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
It's too bad I'm not casting anything.
Oh, well, I think we can work on that. You know, we'll talk, right?
That's right. That's right. And last question, what brings you here tonight?
Tonight, I'm actually accompanying my buddy Matt Ward, who is nominated tonight for Christmas in Canaan. So I'm just backing him up and supporting him the best I can.
Awesome. Well, you said some really neat things, and kind of your line of work isn't like the typical line of work. People don't know a lot about it, so thanks for sharing.
Oh, thank you very much.
I have Amber Raspberry here from 34th Street Films, which is a part of Tyler Perry Productions. And you did House of Pain and I Can Do Bad All By Myself?
Yes, and through our new division, we're actually in production for Colored Girls Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough, based off of a play, a 1977 play that Tyler is adapting and directing this spring.
Talk about the themes that Tyler Perry likes to do in his films, or, what is kind of his mission statement?
For all of our films at 34th Street and for Tyler Perry Studios, they're all grounded in character and situation and always have faith, family, forgiveness, and even feel good involved as well.
Feel good, huh?
Feel good.
Just funny.
Yes. Sometimes life isn't always funny, but at least you come out feeling good.
How did you get involved in the movie industry?
Sometimes I ask myself that.
The Lord put you there.
Yes, since I was elementary school, just always watch film, always a fan of cinema. And yes, by the grace of God, I am here.
So you're here at Movie Guide Awards, and you received the Teddy Award. It's just beautiful. And what is that specifically for?
The Special Faith and Values Award for Tyler Perry Studios.
Well, thank you so much. You're just very articulate and so well-spoken. It was so nice talking to you.
Very much.
I have the stunningly beautiful and talented Jane Seymour. She's an icon. She's a legend. Who doesn't know her? It's just an honor.
Thank you.
How do you stay so beautiful?
Oh, I don't know. I just live life to the fullest, try my best.
Do you eat right?
I try to eat right, and I try to exercise from time to time, and yeah.
How do you deal with all the attention?
It's nice and quiet at my house. It's just full of kids.
Oh, that's nice. And you have children and...
I have 6 children, and I work every day, and, I do this as rarely as possible.
I know, but thank you for coming out and gracing us with your presence. And what's been the most fulfilling thing in your life?
Oh, that's really big. I would say when it comes down to it, it's the love I've shared with my family and hopefully the difference I may have made in anything I've done that was inspiring, either movie-wise or jewelry-wise.
Jewelry-wise, tell us about that.
The open heart is mine, about living life with an open heart. And it's sort of becoming like a universal symbol of giving and receiving love. And it's something my mother inspired in me and came from my artwork, and now it's jewelry. And we have a website called keepanopenheart.com, and thousands of people are sending beautiful stories in, so that's really inspirational.
What's your secret to having such a great family and bringing everybody together?
Being together, spending time, prioritizing my family, I think.
Do you ever feel like work has gotten in the way in the past, and then what did you do to prevent that from happening?
Well, I've had to work. I didn't have a choice, so I've taken my kids with me all over the world, and my kids understand, and they appreciate the work that I do, and they work hard. And I think I found the right balance.
What an amazing experience for your children. And it sounds like you really talk to them and teach them and tell them and explain.
No, they're great kids. They're really good. 4 have graduated from college and 2 are 14. So, yeah, twin boys. Anyway.
It's wonderful talking to you, Jane. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
I have Bob Johnson. He's the executive producer of Bedford, the town they left behind. What's your movie about?
The film is about the sacrifice of World War II veterans, young men who lost their lives on the first Battle of D-Day in World War II. They are called the Bedford Boys, and Bedford, Virginia, a small town in western Virginia, lost more of its young men on the first Battle of D-Day in World War II than any other town in the U.S. per capita. And that is the film that we pay tribute to the young men about.
What inspired you to make a movie about this?
We learned about the story of Bedford, the Bedford Boys, and we just felt that we wanted to highlight not only their sacrifice, but the sacrifice of the families they left behind at home in Bedford, Virginia, and what it meant to them, because times were totally different then. They didn't learn about sacrifices, deaths in World War II as we learn today. So we wanted to highlight the sacrifices of the town and the families they left behind. And that's the story of our film.
How'd you go about researching and investigating for this film?
Well, we talked to the families. We talked to the survivors. We looked through archival footage. When we started the film, there were a couple of survivors of World War II veterans, and we talked with them. We talked to the families, and we did as much as we could in terms of finding out about what it was like for the families and the town to send the young men in those days off to war.
What was the one thing that you learned from making this movie that was the most interesting to you?
I think the one thing is the unbelievable sacrifice that young people are willing to make for their country, the belief that they have in the faith, in their faith, and the belief in their country. And that's the one thing that stuck with us.
I have Quinton Aaron and Andrew Kosov from The Blind Side, and you are the producer?
I am one of the producers, yes.
And that's one of my favorite movies, and I saw it 3 times. So what inspired you to make this movie?
Well, we thought the story was so wonderful about someone reaching out to help another human being and the effect that it could have, and we just thought it was a story that deserved to be told.
Now, you discovered Quinton. This was your first role?
Yes, my first lead role, and it was a great one. I have no complaints from doing it, you know. Going into it, at first, all I knew was the script, and that it was a lead role, and I'm fit for a guy my size, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Hey, I'm an actor. That's a big role, a lot of money.
So. You paid him well?
Well, I don't know if we paid him well enough. I'll tell you, we could have never anticipated the commercial success of the film. And frankly, it's a very hard movie to cast, obviously. Not a lot of 6'5", 300-pound actors, and Quinton was just marvelous. He made the film the success that it is.
Yes, he has such a wonderful spirit about him. And, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to it. I can relate to it because I go into the projects and I drop kids off and I pick them up and I take them places. And, you know, I really try to help them out. And I was just driving there the other day, dropping some kids off. And I just thought of The Blind Side and Sandra Bullock. So it was just really touching for me. And, you know, I kind of could relate to it, you know, where she says, I hope he doesn't steal anything, you know. It just seems so great that, you know, you were so honest in the film and you had such an honesty and you just had such an ability to change.
Oh, cool. I don't know. I just pretty much in that film, in the role, you know, me and Michael, from what I gathered from reading the script, is that we were a lot alike. So it was pretty easy to pull it off because I just, you know, played myself.
I could see that. What would you say to people who grow up in the projects or they're exposed to drugs and different things like that? What would you say to them? Because some of them don't want to get out or they don't see the benefit.
Well, if you have dreams and you're in that sort of environment, I would say don't become a product of that environment if you plan to, you know, follow through with those dreams. You have to go for the dreams and not become what you live in. You know, be a part of what you live around just because you feel that's your only, you know, way of survival. Because it's not, you know. So I don't know. I just say if you have dreams or anything that you want to do, you just stick to it. Don't believe that it can't happen because that's like telling yourself that it's not, and it won't if you tell yourself that. So. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Just enjoyed you so much, and thank you so much for making it possible. And what was it like working with Sandra Bullock?
That was a dream. That was a dream come true working with her. Yeah.
She's a great professional actor. She did a great job.
Wonderful. You were tremendous. You're tremendous. Thank you so much. I have John Shepard, the producer of The Stoning of Soraya M. And what did you go through to make this movie?
About $3.5 million and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We shot in the Middle East under very difficult circumstances. Obviously, we're recreating a stoning in a village where they had witnessed stoning. So it was a very brutal, tough, grueling experience, not so much for us as producers, but really the cast who put their lives, their reputations, they put it all on the line. And we want to honor the women, especially the women that stood up and had the courage to make this movie, and the women that it was about that actually lived through this horrific event. But now the world will know.
What inspired you to get involved with the movie?
I am a father of 3 daughters, and when I read this movie, it was like sort of reading the biblical account of the crucifixion of Christ. You're no longer innocent once you witness the event, and you feel convicted that I can't stand by. There's no such thing as an innocent bystander. I need to take action. I need to get involved. I must make this movie. So although we didn't want to, we needed to make this movie. It was a difficult film to make. For a lot of reasons we thought it won't succeed commercially. It's going to be hard to watch. It's in Farsi. It's R-rated. It's graphic violence. But the story needed to be told. Sheree, who plays the wonderful Aunt Zara, her voice needed to get out to the world. The world would know that this continues to this day, and that we could end this barbaric practice and celebrate the women who truly can change the world, the women in some of these cultures that will rise up and make a difference.
Talk about why she was stoned.
The story of stoning of Soraya is about a woman who's unjustly accused of adultery. Her husband wants to divorce her so he can marry a 13, 14-year-old girl. He sets her up, 2 witnesses, and accuses her of adultery, and for that a man has to be proven guilty, a woman has to be proven innocent. And once there are 2 witnesses, she's buried in a hole up to her breasts and stoned to death. And that's the story of this movie. Unfortunately, it's a true story that still happens to this day, but the message gets out with this movie that we can change, one voice can make a difference. And we believe the women are the key to solving this problem, because the women in Iran, the women in Sudan, the women in countries where this abominable practice is still taking place, will rise up. But we need, as the West, to support them, honor them, encourage them, and tell others that this still goes on, but it must end.
Talk about the risk that you took to make this movie.
Well, I feel rather humbled because as a filmmaker, again, it wasn't my face up on the screen. I'm behind the scenes trying to put this together. It's really the courage of the women and the men, the Iranian men and women who took a stand and decided to make this film at great personal risk, at family and relatives' risk, who still live in that country and other countries where this is barbaric practice still exists. I think really the people that I have to celebrate are Shorey Akhtashlu, Mojan Marno, the people that women that actually stood up and said, we're going to do this movie, although there's no great financial reward, there's great reputation and also personal risk, but we're going to have the courage to do what we believe in and have the courage of our convictions. And those are truly the people we made the movie for and who we want to honor.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have Vanessa Chester here from 17 again, and she was a presenter tonight. What was it like being a presenter?
Well, it was an honor. I am really happy. I got to present to some great films, Invictus. I mean, come on now, that's just phenomenal. And Confessions of a Shopaholic, I was like, is that about me? I'm like, this is incredible. I'm very honored, a little nervous, but happy.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Talk about your acting career.
Well, I've been acting for a long time. It's almost, the way people feel about breathing. I just don't know how I'd really live without doing it. I just love it. It's absolutely phenomenal. There's nothing more exciting than recreating emotion. That's one of the truest things that humans have is our emotion, and I love replicating it and telling the story and living, I guess, a lie truthfully, you can say. Yeah.
What's your favorite role?
Oh, that's hard. I think I'm going to say Little Princess because it was the first movie I ever did, and I was only 9 years old, and it was like myself and about 15 other girls, and it was just like school, but we were filming, and it was a blast. So, fondest memories, great.
I love your eyelashes.
Thank you.
They're just gorgeous.
Thank you. Did it myself.
I love your name. It's so pretty, Vanessa.
I'll let my mom know. She's sitting inside enjoying the show. You got to bring your family to the Movie Guide Awards, right?
Yes, definitely.
Best looking date ever.
That's right. So what would you say to your peers that are listening?
I would say, just stay true to yourself, have a good time, life's short, love well, have a good time, dance, sing, just go towards the positivity, that's what it's about. Like, your intuition tells you where to go and you just follow it. Just be true to yourself, I can basically say. There's a lot of things going on for kids my age and young adults, and it's hard. You're influenced by a lot. So, staying positive is great. And Movie Guide Awards talking about God and family, what else can you ask for,
Do you feel God's played a role in your life?
Of course. I mean, we would be here for the next 3 hours if I started, but, the things that I've been through and the things that I've experienced and all the blessings I have every single day, even when I just wake up healthy, I know that God's watching over me, so.
People who don't know the Lord, what would you say to them? What are they missing?
You can't describe it. It's like you only know when you get there. But I'm telling you, when you get you gotta go. Whenever I go to church, I cry because you just feel so much love. And if you're into love, you gotta love God. God is love. So just give it a try. I don't think you'll regret it at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have Stephen Baldwin, and talk about your autobiography, The Unusual Suspect.
Well, I was fortunate to work on a feature film called The Usual Suspects about 15, 16 years ago, and since my conversion to faith, I think so many people are surprised when they find out I'm a born-again Christian. So my biography, the first book I wrote, is called The Unusual Suspect, My Calling to the New Hardcore Movement of Faith. And it's really just a very, very intimate expression of my life and what it's been like growing up in the Baldwin family, and then the whole story of my conversion to faith, which has been a very powerful testimony.
How has your conversion to faith influenced you in your acting career?
Well, I think that, I'm not the kind of person that ever looks back on where I've been and what I've done and has any regrets. I believe that God has allowed me to live the life I've lived so that I could come into the understanding of what it means to be a Christian now. So I think now, obviously, in regard to my marriage and being a father and my children and how I relate in all of those things, I think, I think Christianity is the thing that allowed me to do for me what I couldn't do for myself, and that is to come into the understanding of why I'm here and what God's plan is for my life.
So how has God changed your life? I mean, then and now.
Well, it's night and day. I have a bit of a reputation for being a little bit of a wild man back in the day. But I think more importantly, somebody asked me the question today for another interview situation, what would be the one thing you would say is the most important part of understanding a marriage? And I just said one word. I said forgiveness. So for me, the Christian faith has taught me the truth when it comes to humility and forgiveness and these things that really allow you to have a whole lot less stress in your life.
I know your wife is so beautiful, Kenya, so you're saying that it's really strengthened your marriage and helped your marriage. Oh,
it's completely done a 180, and it's really kind of cool. We'll be celebrating this June our 20th wedding anniversary. I'm 44 years old, and if you can be the guy I was and working in Hollywood and be blessed enough to allow God to allow you to be in the same relationship 20 years, that's a miracle.
She put up with a lot, huh?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And you were also on Celebrity Apprentice. What was that like?
That was great. I made a lot of new friends. Trace Atkins, the country singer. I'm still praying to this day for Piers Morgan. Get it? Get it? I just had a wonderful experience over in London. I worked on Celebrity Big Brother in the UK and was actually able to really share a lot of my faith with the people that were involved in that reality show. And if anybody wants to go and Google search any of the video from Celebrity Big Brother, I actually was able to be a part of leading one of the people in the house to the Lord, which was just absolutely incredible.
The Lord had you there.
Yeah, it was neat.
Changed their life for all eternity.
Amen.
Amen. Preach it, brother. Well, I just appreciate your boldness and that you're not afraid to speak about the Lord and what he's done for you. And I know that it touches so many lives.
Yeah, well, it's the truth, and he is the way and the life. And the most fun I get to have with people is, since I became a born-again Christian, it's not what everybody thinks, as far as, your life is over and it gets boring. I'm still a little crazy, still having some fun. Just trying not to sin. That's all.
That's right. You got the joy of the Lord.
Amen. Exactly.
Thank you for spreading the word around.
Thank you. It's my privilege, so thanks.
I have Mark Nielsen, and he worked on Up. And I just overheard you talking about trust and church and how that played a role in the film and your work on the film. Talk about that.
I mean, as a Christian, it's your identity is in God, and you know that's who God's made you to be. So I just bring that to work with me every day, and try and love the people I work with the love that I've received from Christ, and it's a supportive environment at Pixar too, and that there are a lot of Christians, but we're also working on films for families, which is something that we can be proud of, and that I can be proud of and share with my parents and share with my grandparents and my children. So it's one thing to be a Christian working in Hollywood on things that are compromising your values, but the great thing about working at Pixar is they're making kind of upstanding stories that are redemptive a lot of times. And so I've spent most of my career there, and it's just been a great place to be.
Wow, that's wonderful to hear that there are so many Christians in Hollywood and that people do have a heart for families, for children, for the things of God.
Yes, absolutely. Again, I'm so grateful to be at that company, because it really is a place where you don't have to hide who you are, and you can be proud of the things that you're a part of. Even though it's a secular industry, it's a secular company, but doing good work and making films that as a Christian you can feel good about.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Gemma Wenger, and that was Gemma Wenger's Hollywood. Thank you so much for watching from Beverly Hills, California, the Movie Guide Awards, Faith and Values. God bless you, and I love you.